Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we right here. We right here. We gonna do this thing now. Talk this boxing stuff. Yeah. Talk the boxing stuff. You know how we do it. Yep. Got a lot to cover today. Hopefully I got some time because I gotta run out. I appreciate you shouting me out today, KQ. Like always. Yeah, we'll communicate a little bit later on today about some things. Yep. That's for sure right there. Shadow 979, I salute you. We still in here, right? We in? How's the voice today? How's the sound today, fellas? We good? Yep. Look like we must be good. Chef Boyardee, KQKC sent me here. He sent you to the right channel. Yeah. He sent you to the right place. Yeah. Gerard Casher, I see you up there, loud and clear. Yeah, Shadow 9. That's my guy. Always be in here, diligently in there. Hopefully, some people come out down off the wall today, and they'll come in and put some comments up in the chat. Let's get this going. I think we've been here. Well, we got a few more seconds. I usually give you guys until 10. Let my prayer music go, and let you guys before we do stuff. As you guys already know me, I don't have anything against any fighters. Christopher Jernay, I see you. Salute to you. Yeah, I don't have nothing ill to say about fighters because, like I said before, yeah. Okay, you said that you buffering. Is anybody else buffering? We'll get to it. Yeah. I don't do the camera right now because of everything here sound. I don't see nothing. Because usually, if something happens here, it might be on your end because usually if something happens here, I get all kind of flags and stuff. And today everything looks like it's just running. I mean, looks like it's going good today. Let me see if I change that picture. If I just change it out to that, catch you soon. We'll see. Maybe buffering. Yeah, but this Bud Crawford and Errol Spence. Let's get on to this a little bit. Then we could talk about some other stuff. Whatever come up, we're gonna just talk about this. There's a lot of good things that came up in there. A lot of it was a guy in there, Iron Mike. I don't know if he's not in here, but yeah. He was okay. You good? Gerard said he good. Okay, I'll just leave it there anyway. Hey, even though I'm gonna catch y'all now, this says catch you soon, but we won't worry about that. Yeah, but he was trying to make the point that on this fight with Sean, I'll still get into the Bud and Errol. This easy work. That this Sean don't have to be a killer. He don't need to have that killer instinct because he got dog in him. And one thing I know about dogs is you can walk dogs, and you can train the dog to sit. You can train the dog to do a lot of stuff, kill. But if you're just saying you got a dog, so what kind of dog is he? Because some dogs are killers. So is he a killer, as far as a dog, or is he? I mean, you got some dogs like sometimes pit bulls and stuff like that. They ram with their head and stuff like that. That's kind of like Sean. Is he a pit bull just ramming? Is he a killer? Is he being walked, or is he being told to sit down? You got to have those things. And my people that mess with me, they already know. They know what those three things are. And KQ kind of covered up too. Yep. Yeah. Are you missing everything for 5 minutes? Well, I'm still getting you. Is anybody hearing me? Out there, are you guys 5 minutes behind? I'll put up a 1 if you hear me right now. So we'll know if it's KQ or not. Because on my end, everything looks good. I'm getting no red flags, no nothing. Yeah, that might be what it is too, KQ. It might be because because you probably went over an hour. Yeah, it takes sometimes it take an hour for that thing to to get up there. Yeah, it takes a long time, and somebody might be replaying it too at the same time that is uploading, and then that put extra work on your. Yeah, okay. So Christopher Janae, he say one. He got it. Yeah. So we got it. Yeah. So we don't. So if Sean is just a dog that you walk and sit down, then he's in the bad business. He's in a bad position. He's in a real bad position. Yeah. I'm talking now. I don't know if the volume went out. Okay. So it looked like we having technical issues. So I need somebody to put up another number, I guess. If you can hear me, just put up a 1 because I have it turned up. Yeah, I have it turned up, so it should be good. So it should be good. Somebody put up a 2. Okay, KQ say I'm good. Yeah, a 1 or 2. Yeah, there you go. So somebody can hear me. It might be your device or something like that. Sometimes if you're on the phone, if anybody's on the phone, sometimes you got to work with the volume. You might have to go inside the phone and work with the volume because I noticed that too. Because if I don't have my phone. Yeah, if I don't have my phone hooked up to my car, yeah, I got you, Christopher. Yeah. If I don't have my phone hooked up to my car properly, I can't hear nothing, and I have all my volume. I have my volume turned way up, and I can't get anything. But yeah. So make sure everything. Make sure everything is set properly. Yeah. So we're gonna talk. So Sean, like I said, if Sean is just the walking type of dog, or just the kind of dog. Or what they call throw the towel. Yeah, towel in the ring. So that's what I'm getting on that one. And I know that everybody knows that, Sean is this, Sean is that. Him up. Yes, I want to be a fighter. The second thing you got to have is you got to have that warriorism in you. And the third thing you got to have is you got to have this crazy in you, this crazy killer instinct. And there's two sides of that. Because you can be a warrior and you can go in there and you could be wanting to fight, but some people have a killer instinct, like I'm willing to go out there and kill, or I'm willing to be killed. And then some fighters have that, I'm willing to go out there and never stop. See? And if you go out there and if you're one of those fighters that never stop, that doesn't make you a killer. Yeah, that doesn't make you a killer, you understand? And in this business, even though the first thing is prize, which a lot of our dumbasses is the prize, and we worried about what these fighters is getting, don't worry about what them fighters is getting. They getting whatever's in your damn pocket and you willing to spend. So don't ever worry about their pocketbook and get excited about how much fortune they gonna make. Especially they come in there and then the fights are dud. How many fights do we didn't have so right now that's been like kind of duds? Not really good fights. And then the lower echelon fighters been putting on all the shows. And these top echelon fighters ain't been doing a damn thing. See? They haven't been doing nothing. But we go, hold 1 second. So we got to rely on like lower echelons to give us the fight. But today what I want to do, this is gonna be the breakdown right here. I'm basing this off of 4 fights. I could base it off of more than 4 fights, but we're gonna go ahead and get in with this Errol Spence versus Bud Crawford. And the first fight that I want to try to review a little bit is Bud versus Amir Khan. Of course, Amir Khan was 34-4, and we know how he took those losses. And so, when we break it down, we can look at how did Terrence have to fight him. Yep. How did he have to fight him? Did he fight him on the front foot? Actually, he did. He actually fought Amir Khan closer on the front foot. He was matching speed with Khan. He didn't have to fight very much on the back foot. And then as we talk about our parallel feet, like in the pocket feet, he didn't have to fight that much like that. His lateral movement was good with him. And his overall, he got a pretty good overall boxing stance in his body guard. His high guard was pretty decent. He didn't have to use as much because Khan really just kind of folded. And of course Khan didn't do what we like to say is duck punches. He didn't duck punches very well at all. And Crawford in that fight did move away from the punches better. And like I said, he threw better punches on the move. He had better jab. Yep. That's a good point there, Gerard. I see you out there. You said, yeah, Wilder already said stop worrying about his pockets. Yeah, of course. That's what he said. And Don Dada, I salute you, sir. You back in here, huh? He said, I'm sorry, I'm late to class. Yep. He said, yeah. He said, I'm back into class. Yep. And then as far as like the best punches and jabs and stuff that was used most effectively in that fight, of course, everything came from Crawford. But one thing we don't really know about that fight is why Khan. Now you could have said that Khan didn't fight because he was gonna get stopped, but we don't really know if that's the real case. He might have got hurt up. He might not have never got stopped. He might have just got beat up, and maybe he knew he's gonna get beat up and just didn't want it. But anyway, that goes back to those three mental things we just talking about. Now Khan laces up the gloves, right? I want to fight, but the last two he didn't show. He didn't show that he was a warrior and wanted to fight, and he didn't show the killer instinct. Crawford laced up the gloves. I want to fight. I'm going to show my warriorism. I'm going to impose my will on Khan, and he did just that. And he was about to start showing the killer instinct that he has. So in that fight, when we rate them up, I'm going to give Crawford the overall better offense and defense and the mentality to fight and also the warriorism and the killer instinct. I got to give that one to all the way to Crawford. And as you see, when you go through these steps that I gave you guys of how to break down the fight, when you go through these steps, then you see now we're doing fights that have already taken place. You see what I mean? And we're just more or less comparing them. I'm not going to call this no resume because I still got Errol in this one. And I'll break that down. And we're going to break it down and you're going to see. So that's one. That's one fight. Yes, he did. At KQKC, he did. He had way better balance than Khan did. And Khan wasn't expecting the balance and everything to be on point, but it was. So we talk about Errol's fight. So Errol's last fight. Edward Johnson, I see you out there, sir. So you joining for the first time? Brothers KQKC was putting you okay. You for us to join. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. And I hope you enjoy and I hope you get something out of what the Eagles Web is saying to you today in his boxing chat. And my people in here, I got regulars in here, and they control my web. They my web watchers, just in case something foul go down, and we ready for it. And we waiting for the people to come down off the wall and just enjoy the chat. And that's all I ask. Just enjoy the chat, and this input as you feel. So we know how this fight went. EJ versus Mikey Garcia. Well, I'm gonna give Errol. This is an easy one to call. Front foot. Who had it? Errol. Back foot. So parallel foot in the pocket. Errol had that. Lateral movement. Errol had that. Overall boxing stance. Errol got that. Because Mikey didn't have an overall boxing stance. He had an overall high guard. He had two phones up. Guarding the body. Got to give that to Spence. Even though Mikey did guard because that's all he was doing. You know what I mean? That's all Mikey did was guard. Mikey didn't do much other than guard. Ducks punches better. Errol didn't have to duck very many punches, but he ducked better. because Mikey still got caught, and just like my brother called it, he said, yeah, he had to go see a neurologist because of getting that brain touched too many times. So he was blocking more punches with his face. The better jab in that fight, Errol Spence. Most effectively using the jab, Errol Spence. Placing power punches more accurately, knocking punches down, Errol. And see, most effectively when we're aggressive, Errol Spence. Overall better offense, Errol Spence. Overall better defense was Errol Spence. His mentality to fight, Errol Spence. Mikey was in there. He had the mentality to go and put some gloves on. And see, that's the difference between a real champ. And just because you got the mentality to put some gloves on, because if you paid me enough money, I'd put some damn gloves on. But I'm smart enough to know, hey, I'm getting paid how much? I haven't been in there a long time, so yeah. Yeah, I know how to fake though. Take me a couple of little body shots and go and maybe halfway block one and take one up top, and shoot, I'll take my count and go count my money. But that's not what we're looking for with these champs. These champs ain't supposed to do that. See? And so Mikey had none of it. He just had the ability to put on gloves and get in the ring. And I'm not saying he did nothing, but if you fight in 12 rounds and you do something sporadically just for a couple of seconds of a round or a minute of a round, then you're not really fighting. That warriorism wasn't there, and that killer instinct, all that goes to Errol. And so now you're seeing how this stuff adds up, right? I know, Saddle Nine. Hey, I'll take that. Hey, Hey, isn't that the thing now, right? That's the conversation now, right? That's the narrative right now. Get that bag, right? Everybody talking about a bag. You think Eagles Web wouldn't go get that bag? Shoot, man, I get that bag. I'd be covered up. Man, get me a bag. I'll be spending the money before I go. On my way down, I'll be already spending the money. I'll be looking up at the ref like, I don't know what you counting for. What you counting for? I'll wait till the janitor come up in there before I get up. Make sure it's 10. Make sure I ain't about to take no more punishment. Yup. Yeah, I ain't take no beat. Just take a straight up beat down. Okay, so those are the last two fights that is prospectively for Errol Spence and Bud Crawford. So we go to the second fight, the one right before that one. Yep. And the second fight was Jose Benavidez Jr. And that was for Bud Crawford. Now, you guys might have problems with this one when we break it down. Now, he came up. Now, Bud ended up winning this one. But think back, if you don't, because you're probably not going to watch the replay right now, but just think back about the front foot in that fight. I think that as far as front foot, I think Benavidez had him a little bit messed up. Yeah, I'll get to it, Saddle Nine. Yeah, you know me though. I'm generous sometimes. I'm not like shit. Who's not generous? Joseph Brown ain't in here, right? Joseph Brown is the one that's not. He really not generous. Yep. So you're right. I'm a little bit generous. So far as front foot, I'm gonna give Benavidez that one. I'm gonna give him because he was confusing the hell out of Terrence for too long. For too long, and guess what? He had a bad leg on top of that. Back foot, I'm gonna give that one to Crawford, and then parallel feet. They didn't fight like that as much, but that's kind of even right there. The parallel feet. I don't know if you guys would disagree with me, but in the pocket feet, footwork, it was kind of even right there. So you see how it's matching up a little bit different. Yeah. He can fight. Yeah, Don, he can fight. Yeah. The lateral movement, I got to get that. See, it's kind of obvious that Crawford's gonna get a lot of these when it comes to footwork. You see what I mean? Because sometimes this works, but this is why it works. Is because sometimes, like say we take a bad situation like that, we're taking Jose Benavidez, right? And so we're talking about his footwork, right? Now he might have had bad footwork, or his footwork wasn't as good because he was hurt. You see what I mean? But that still count if somebody's not hurt. That footwork is still going to count. Yeah. You see what I mean? So it doesn't matter if somebody's hurt. So you can look at it like that. You know what? Your back foot is hurting. You know what I mean? So now your back foot is hurting. And that's, I'll see you at boxing conversation with Reggie Owens. Salute. Yeah. So even if you're not hurt, we could look at it like it's an injury, because that's part of what you're supposed to have. So if you matched up boxers the right way, if they were even, then it'd really be hard for you to analyze when you take these 18 points. It'll be harder for you to analyze that. You know what I mean? It'd be really hard for you to analyze that. Now, as far as the bodyguard, they both did pretty good jobs. High guard, I'm gonna give that to Crawford. I have to give that to Crawford because Benavidez he made a serious mistake. And that's how the fight ended, is because of that one mistake. And like I said, you lose your focus, then you lose the fight. Ducks away from punches better and moves away from punches better. Of course, I'm gonna give those to Crawford. Block punches better. They're kind of even on that. You know what I mean? They were a little bit even. And throw punches off the move. Crawford, the best jab, even though he didn't show his jab that much because he was doing a whole lot of filling. He was doing a whole lot of filling in that fight. Yeah, but he did still. I'm going to give him the jab. I'll go ahead and give it to him because I'm telling you, at points of that fight, I was getting kind of bored. I was getting bored with Buzz activity. And this is no shade on him, no hate on nobody. You know, as far as like the more effective knocking punches down and things like that, and just being more effective when he was aggressive. Now, he got more effective at the end. You know, Crawford got more effective. It was like closer to the end of the fight, then he got more aggressive. But the overall better offense and defense, I'll go ahead and give it to him. But the mentality of the fight, they both had that. The warriorism, they both had that. I got to take away the killer instinct for Benavidez, because you're a hurt animal, then you got to go out there and just get it done. And he didn't. He slipped up and made that mistake. Let me see what KQ was saying. KQ said, because Mikey knew what was coming, back up and down. Yeah. Of course he knew what was coming. That's why all that whole physical makeup, all those 18 points that I give my guys to look at when they judge in boxing, all those 18 points that I'm covering them right now, and so people can catch on to how we're doing the judging. Yeah, when you lose all that, then technically you supposed to lose the fight. So when you see all those things in a fight, the fighter should lose. There's no way they should be winning. There's no way. So we'll give that one to Crawford, of course, because that was a knockout. The first one was kind of a stoppage, but not great. Yeah, not great because of Khan. Khan is a question mark, and then see the opposition. So we're going by the opposition. Khan is a question mark. Jose Benavidez, he did come out and fight, made a mistake. Made it more than what it should have been. I'm just saying that. So you got one goose, and you got one that's, you got a lame in there that lasted too many rounds. And then on Errol's side, you got Mikey, who just didn't know he was overmatched until the bell rung. But he showed us that you can survive by just blocking and moving your head a little bit. That you still can survive. He showed that. So he did show But see, the thing when the killer instinct. Remember the flip side of the killer instinct. The flip side of the killer instinct is I'm willing to get knocked out. I'll fight until I fall down. But if you don't have any warriorism in you, and you don't have the mentality to fight, then why even go through that? If you're going to turn yourself into a punching bag, then why even go through that? And that's what Mikey did. Now we go to the Carlos Ocampo. Didn't last long enough, so that's quick. Errol went in on the front foot, never back foot that much. He backed up a little bit of back foot, parallel, lateral movement, overall boxing stance, bodyguard, high guard, ducks punches. So we don't have to give him. You don't have to give him too many. He moved away. Yeah, And that's what he did best in that fight. He moved away and turned better. And of course, we know what the end result of that was. That was that hard, nasty body shot. And so when we say throw punches better, that was the biggest thing that he could have done during that fight, is he threw punches better. The mentality was Errol Spence. The warriorism was Errol Spence. The killer instinct was Errol Spence. So you see the difference between those two, is you had a healthy guy fighting a champ, and the healthy guy did worse than the so-called cripple. I'm sorry. If you go in there with anything on your legs and stuff like that, you boxing, and footwork is something that you have to have in boxing, you shouldn't be out there. To be honest, you shouldn't. Or if a fighter sees that, what a fighter should do is he should run the hell out of you. On that side, on your bad side, just make that leg and knee, especially if your knee is wrapped. I'll make you pivot and twist on that foot until that damn thing about to fall off. Even if I wasn't throwing punches, you just pull, you just lateral movement, back and forth, Muhammad Ali style, sliding all over the ring, or Jersey Joe Walcott, or the Drunken Masters. Make them use that. Yeah, make them use that leg. You say Jose beat Mikey? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's a good fighter. I mean, we just got to talking about that. I mean, he's a good fighter. So, like I said, the points here is we're not roasting nobody right now, and there's plenty of room to roast people right now. But you know how I do in my chat. This is my chat, so I do it my way. I do it for the people who mess with me. So the way that we do it is a little different than other people do it. So I like to give like a good breakdown, so people will understand, how the game works a little bit better. How the art of boxing works a little bit better. Yeah. But we got, especially like if you take these points, I tell you what you do too also. You take the points, you take the 18 points. You don't need the 3 because the fight's already over with. And you just, you could use them. But they're not going to determine a fight. They determine the fighter at the time. But after the fact, they don't determine. So when you go back, you just use your 18 physical points, and then you just go back over the fight. You know what I mean? So that way you could assess it again, just in case. Because a lot of times what happens with us is we're not fanboys and we're not fangirls. But what happens to us sometimes is we get a favorite and we give them a little bit of leniency. And we'll say, well, no, I don't think he really got that round from him. But, or we'll say, I think it might have been close. But, see, when you're looking with that kind of mind, then that means it wasn't close. That means they probably lost, if you say, oh, I think it was close, Even with the Wilder, like I said, the Wilder, I mean, my brother KQ might argue with me on that. But I think for me, we discussed these things. He discussed the same exact thing that I did. He calls it a little bit different. But like I said, that mentality to fight, that warriorism and that killer instinct, I'm telling you, it was on the champ to go out there with that killer instinct and just get it done. Because you got 12 rounds. So if you come out and you know, okay, I'm wild, I'm desperate right now, I'm trying too hard. Now, you already know that. Before 12 rounds is up, you already know that. That's 36 minutes. And you're a professional, because you got to think about it. Okay, you can't just keep it up. Because I tell you, a mishap that happened to an older champion, and you guys know who it is. It's George Foreman. In Manila, not Manila, but over in Kinshasa, Zaire, when he fought Muhammad Ali. And he'll tell you, he'll attest to that. What he did is he had zero regard for Muhammad Ali, like zero regard. Knowing he was fighting one of the swiftest fighters of all times, one that could really move out of the way and everything else, and who could take a punch. He could take a punch, take a big shot. So a lot of people think that Some of these fighters would beat him because they were bigger, but he could take a shot, and he was small. And there were actually smaller champs. Like I mentioned, when I was able to do lives, a couple of my last two people that I did on for far as heavyweights was Joe Frazier. They both happened to have been Joes, and Jersey Joe Walcott, and they were both 6 feet or under. Joe Frazier was closer to 5'10". He wasn't no 5'11" and 3/4 or whatever they said he was. No, he was shorter than that. See. So, but people get that they get that all mixed up. So you don't have to be a big old monster to be a killer. You see? But people get that mixed up. But what George Foreman, how he made that mistake is he came out and he was just shooting the load every round. He was just thinking to himself, I don't care how tired I'm getting, I'm gonna knock him out. And that's what he kept thinking. I'm gonna knock him out. Now, you might not have saw that with Wilder, but I guarantee you that he was very tired. You might not have seen it as much. You see it more if you go look at the old tapes of George Foreman. You can see the tiredness a lot more. But Muhammad, I guarantee you that Wilder was tired too. So it's up to our champ. He's telling us what he's gonna go do. Then we can't be getting nervous for him. We gotta say, okay, that's what he's gonna go do. But if you go out there and you just don't do it, of course we know you got another day to go do it. But just think of all the controversies that happened. Just like with AJ, all the controversies that happened with AJ, that's on AJ. Thinking thought he had like a little tomato can or something like that. Thought he had a chocolate cupcake, and he had a cupcake that like Almond Joys. So, but that's how it works out though. That and that's why all these pictures in throughout boxing are all messed up. That's why we're not getting the undisputed. That's why we're not getting all the fights that we really as fans desire right now, is because all the belts are mixed up. He said, "Don't do the same thing." No, I don't try to do. I don't try to do the same thing as anybody. But what I do is, because I have everything that I talk about is written down. Like when I talk about the mentality of the fighters and stuff like that. Yep, I know what you mean. Yeah, but as far as like on the next fight for Bud was Jeff Horn. So what I'm doing, the whole thing, what I'm doing, fellas, is I'm doing the breakdown because everybody's talking about Bud versus EJ. And so I'm just breaking down a little bit of their, don't worry, I'll speed it up a little bit, but just breaking down their last 4 fights. And Bud fought Jeff Horn, which was kind of a rough fight. And we understand that, how everything went with that fight, far as like Bud's front foot and back foot and parallel, everything. The foot movements was on point. And the punches was on point. He didn't allow Jeff Horn to rough him up, and he ended up stopping him. And then of course with Errol Spence, his other fight was his third fight back was Lamont Peterson, in which he just did a whole complete body smashing on him. So mostly with that fight, he was just keeping him in range and just punishing the body, and Peterson kind of fought that fight a little bit. He didn't fight it as well. And then Crawford with the Julius Ndongo fight. Julius Ndongo just didn't really have a chin, and Crawford just landed good shots on him. He was on the outside, landed some good shots, got in, and that was it. That was a wrap on that one. It's just because time, I got to go too, though. So, I'm not rushing, and I'm not going to try to get out of here. I got to get out of here, but I'm not going to try to rush everything. But those fights, it just came out that way. It just worked out. Those last 2 fights were just, anybody could call those 2 fights. Those were easier to call. And I'll see you, Nassim. Salute. Yeah, those 2 fights was easier to call. And then the Kell Brook fight for Errol Spence. Now that one ended up being a little bit of a controversy, because they went back and forth. If you look at our parameters for it, then you see that as far as like front and back foot, they were kind of I think Errol had a better back foot, but front they was even at points. And then in the pocket, they was a little bit, Earl had more because Earl was better with the parallel and he was better with the lateral movement. The overall stance, yep. The overall stance, I'm going to give that to Earl. And Carroll didn't, his high guard wasn't really great. Okay. Okay, Tony Boswell, I see you out there. He said he had to jump in and say much respect to Eagle Webb. Okay, Manny Vic, salute. Can't type, I'm driving, but I'm in here, brother. Yeah, you're always in there. Mo Okwa. I see you out there. He respect the native people. Yeah, Maeho bless, man. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. So, and then as far as ducking punches better, Errol got caught with some, but he was a lot better, and he actually moved away from punches a lot better also. Moved a lot, then he blocked a little bit better, and he was able to even catch Kell moving a lot, like on the move. But what determined this fight more, and that was the parallel stance for Errol. Because once Errol gets you in front of him like that, he starts beating up on you. And that's more or less what happened with Kell Brook, as he started to get beat up. He was fighting well, and then after a while he just started getting just pretty much beat up. And so now we go so we talk about the mental aspect. Everybody already know, like the mentality. We're gonna have to get that one to fight. They both laced them up. They both got in the ring, and they was warring for a while, but the killer instinct, the edge for the killer instinct goes to Errol. And like I said, you got to have that crazy killer instinct. There's no way around it. And if you're not like a master boxer, and you could take somebody, and you take that person, and you move them and work them the way you want to, then you have to have a killer instinct. A lot of people make a mistake and think, oh no, well he outboxed him or whatever. No, a lot of times you're not outboxing. It depends on where you landing punches at. All right, salute King Louis. Yep. So with that 4-fight breakdown, and with the opposition for Bud, Amir Khan, Jose Benavides Jr., Jeff Horn, and Julius Ndongo, and EJ, Mikey Garcia, Carlos Ocampo, Lamont Peterson, and Kell Brook. Yeah, I'm going to have to give that one. I'm going to edge out EJ because of what they done to the opposition. And I really don't like that. The one I really don't like is those two for Bud, is Amir Khan and Jose Benavides. There's too many question marks on both of those. And Bud had enough fights by then. Somebody got a 3 times combo. Is Sir Flame in here? Okay. I love what you're doing, Eagles. Well, do you break down old school fights as well? Yeah. I can break down any fight. It don't matter. All right, Ogb, I see you out there. Yeah. I break down all of them. I use my same point. I use my point system. And it's good to do that, to use the point system. Just go back and look at my Errol Spence and Sean Porter video, and it's in there. And then it's in there again when I talk about the past fighters versus the fighters of today. That little breakdown is in there. It's a good little tool to use because it gives you some more to look at when you're looking at fights. And it keeps you from, because if you're looking at your notes or whatever, you're making sure you're making a mental note. It keeps you from thinking your own way, and it keeps you from falling in love with your fighter. Like, oh yeah, my fighter did this, and the other fighter didn't do that or whatever. So then when you break it down, you say, wait a minute, first round, I'm gonna have to give that to him because he still did, he did X better than the other fighter did, So it's a good breakdown, and you could look and see why certain fighters lose. Because when I talked to my people earlier, we were talking about, we did break down an old school fight a little bit. We was doing Jersey Joe Walcott, who was known to have the feet. He was known to have the real good feet before Muhammad Ali. This is before Muhammad Ali. You got to realize he was born way back in Um, he was born in 1909. Jersey Joe was. So you think about how long ago is that, and for somebody to have that good of footwork, and so he has real good footwork, and so that used to confuse boxers a lot. And another thing, what he does is he was able to slip with his feet too. People don't know that, because he took a lot of half steps and full steps and quarter steps and turn and then switch feet. He used to switch feet. He wouldn't, like, his stance, like he would go from orthodox to unorthodox, and sometimes he would throw punches out of the unorthodox stand, a southpaw stance. But the thing that cost him, because he lost mostly the champions. He lost earlier in his you know what I mean. He lost earlier in his career. But the thing that really the thing that cost him is that he would lose focus sometimes. His feet was always good. And see, when you're that good, it's just like Muhammad Ali. When you're that good at whooping somebody's ass, you make them mad. And so a lot of those fighters was going for broke. And that's how they would beat him, because they would go for broke. It's like, damn, he's embarrassing me. And see, back in the day, you couldn't embarrass people. If you embarrass somebody, they'd get you. Like now, they don't get you as much. If they get embarrassed, they just get embarrassed. They just live with it. They just sink their head down and tell their fans they're sorry or whatever. But back in the day, they didn't fight like that. Back in the day, if you embarrass somebody, it was on. And so he embarrassed the hell out of them, and then they put that extra pressure on him. But if he was able, you know what I'm saying, if he was able to get away from all them, you know, because they start charging wild and everything else, you know, and even though he had that slippery movement, he get caught or something like that. Or sometimes he just get too comfortable and get caught. You see what I mean? You get like what they call lackadaisical in there and get caught. Yeah, but for the most part, yeah, he had those feet. He had great feet. And even that head movement. Before Sugar Ray Robinson, before Muhammad Ali, he was the one that was able to pull back and get his head out the way. But he fought. So I think the last time he fought Rocky Marciano, I think it was in 45 or something like that. I think he 45 or 44. So you see, he was already up there. As far as age-wise, he was already getting into to the 40s and stuff. I see you, Cypress Hill. Salute to you. Yeah. And we missing a lot of that today with today's fighters, the footwork. And see, we shouldn't be talking about fighters, because you think about, if these fighters are superior, why are we talking about their footwork and all that stuff? If they're so good, if they're that much better than these old fighters. You see what I mean? If they're so much better, we shouldn't be talking about their footworks. We should be talking about the output. The output of, cause we can look at them like, oh yeah, they both got good feet. Yeah. He landed this punch, he landed that. See, a lot of people, when we talk like that, a lot of times we say that, like we'll talk about the punches, but we won't talk about how somebody, like, sometimes we'll talk about it. If you're good, you'll talk about it. Oh yeah, I like the way that he spun out of the corner and put the guy back in, put this guy against the rope. You know, you got a couple of slick fighters, and everybody think that it's phenomenal, like, because you got Lomachenko. And Lomachenko is not, and the thing about fighting Lomachenko is not just simply stepping back on him. It's a lot of times it's beating him to his spot. You beat him to his spot and you catch him. You don't always have to move back. You can pivot around, or because you're watching him. Because the thing is, okay, he's doing this, because he's going to make a pattern out of what he does. Even if he mixes it up, he's going to make a pattern after a while. And once you know that pattern, then you know where to step and catch him. And these corners don't catch that. They just send their fighter out to get beat up. They have no advice. Yep. But back to what I was saying. What I was saying though is, yeah, those two fights with Bud, and that's that Amir Khan and Jose Benavidez. I have problems with those two, and so I just can't see him. If having that much problem with the second one, Jose Benavidez with a bad leg, and I just don't see it. I just don't see that he's going to have enough to bring offensively on the front foot to stop Errol from putting him on mostly on the back foot. And I don't care, you switching styles or whatever, switching feet or switching up. I just don't. I can't see him beating Errol. I'm sorry, and not because Errol imposes his will, just like Michael Moore used to do when he was at light heavyweight. Because Michael Moore, for me, Errol Spence reminds me of Michael Moore, at light heavyweight. Because Michael Moore, his first 24 fights was all stoppages, KO, and I think he had one ring retirement, and the rest was KOs or TKO, and he had those nice sharp punches where he get you, he get in the pocket and just start beating on you, and that reminds me of Errol Spence, because Errol Spence does the same thing. As Errol Spence gets you, he get in the pocket with you, and he just start beating up on you. And I don't see how Bud is going to keep him completely from, getting some shots off, because there's too many other people that got shots off, and a lot of people they're misconstruing this by thinking that Bud is so much faster, and that Bud has never slipped away from anybody. Bud has never not got hit by a fighter. You see, and that's the difference, is you're going to get hit, and he likes to retaliate when he gets hit. He has a different style than Sean. Sean does too. Sean likes to try to get points back, but at the same time be careful, because his father has him that way, conditioned him to be careful. Just like when he was fighting Adrian Broner, in which Adrian Broner wasn't the bigger guy, but Adrian did catch him, and his father got mad at him by telling him, don't get, see, and that's bad. You can't have a fighter coming in there and you're telling them to be careful about this, be careful about that, because guess what? That was already done during your training, because you talked about it. You talked about an overhand right. You talked about all these punches. You talked about the in fighting. You talked about the outside fighting. You talked about all that. So as soon as you get in there, when you're going through the rounds, that should have already been covered. If you hear coach overcoaching in between rounds, if he's taking up that whole 60 seconds, there's a problem for that fighter, because he shouldn't be taking up that whole 60 seconds. You see, you don't take up the whole 60 seconds. Not when you're in the corner, because it's already done. Yep. Yeah. So that's my pick for the when it finally comes down. I don't see anything changing right now. If I see something different between the fighters, then maybe I'll change my attitude a little bit. But I'm going with the crazier guy. When I say crazy, willing to take punishment, and at the same time willing to dish out punishment until the end. So I'm gonna go with EJ on that one. Now I know I'm kind of, with me, I don't pull the punches back. When it comes to our champ, he has to just go out there, Wilder. He has to go out there and just get it done. So we don't end up with these messes and stuff, because we're in a mess right now in this whole boxing thing. And like my people know, I always tell you guys how we on this train. And a lot of us is blindfolded on this train to nowhere. We don't even know where the train's going, because we got promoters pulling us one way and telling us one thing. We don't know which fights is going to be made. We don't know who's fighting or who's going to fight. And lately, it's been like a lot of injuries. Lately, everybody's pulling out of fights, and that's not good. They pulling out of fights, and we got this fight coming up a couple of days, and I know everybody wants. I know everybody wants to go with the younger guy, but I'm quite sure that it's going to be a lot of politicking, and I'm not talking about far as paperwork. over there in Russia, because some of the stories is coming out. I read earlier, that it was no hot water for over there, and I even heard that in the chat room. But yeah, we'll see how this works out. Yeah, we'll see how these fights work out, and hopefully we'll get the Ruiz fight. I was looking in East Side today, and was it Barry Hearn came out and said that the money, that the money was that the money is over there in Saudi. See, and that's real shady. That's a real shady situation when you say, oh, the money's over there. So, and if you don't know their financial background, then you don't know what's going on with that. Like I said, and you're on the ride just with me, blindfolded. And some of us try to, take that blindfold off and find out what's going on. Or what kind of investments they got over there. Because you got to remember that that family, that East Snake's family, has been in this business for a long time. They've been in the boxing business for a long time. They didn't just start. So they've been in the boxing business for a long time. There's no telling what kind of ties or whatever else they got over there. And also, like I said this in another stream, I said this same thing, is that when it comes to fighting over there, for the time that they're going to fight, I'm sorry, folks, I might be dumb, but for me it kind of makes sense to not fight anywhere near the United States, anywhere near Canada, or anywhere else where they're going to celebrate these holidays coming up into the winter. Because like I said, we are the front money. We are the front money. And a lot of people, they're not going to give up money when they're buying presents and all that other stuff. They celebrating Thanksgiving, and right after Thanksgiving, after their stomachs is full, the next day they're going out shopping. And so they're not going to be thinking about another extra bill. Yeah. Okay, I got this in here. Thank you, KQKC. He says, let's subscribe to the Eagle to get him to 100 subs. Yep. Yeah. And and my channel is relatively new. I've been trying to start it forever. I always wanted to start it. I finally got it going. A lot of technical difficulties, but finally got it up. And I've been getting a lot of love. Because I've had people to tell me that they like the way I analyze stuff, and they like the way that I break down. They like the way I break down stuff, and so that's what a lot of times they'll look at one of my videos, and that's what has them to subscribe. If you like anything I say, you go ahead and hit that thumbs up. I know I'm gonna get thumbs down, but go ahead and hit the just try to like something and hit that thumbs up. If you like anything I say, subscribe. And also, get that notification by hitting that bell with those little lines around it. That makes sure you get all the notifications when I come on, or if I do a video or something like that, you're going to get your notification to come in. Yeah. Macadam 1, I see you. I think I already saluted you, but then KQ back in there, he said, that's right, clear, precise punches. Yep. Clear and precise. That's what does it. Okay, I got Gerard in here. Casher says, I heard Matchroom was banned from Japan. Yeah, I wonder why. Yeah, see? And that's another thing. Just like I said, we're on this train, man, with the blindfolds on. And see, the thing about that is that we can't be in all these countries and nothing. We don't know people in all these different countries, and we don't know what kind of relationship they done built over there. Now, what if they had a couple of fights over there with some, with some lower weight fighters or something that we know nothing about, and some kind of deal went bad over there. You say, yeah, they don't even want to do business, and then that doesn't look good, because when somebody always wants to do business with you, that looks good. And then you know how these devils are, because they'll talk about Al Heyman, and they'll make it seem like that he's hard to work with. Nobody wants to do business with him. But then at the same time, then you complaining about the fighters that he helps out, make too much money or demand too much money. See, this whole thing, like I said, you're on this ride, I'm on this ride. So let's ride it let's take these blindfolds off and let's look at different different aspects of the boxing, and let's not just jump the gun when things come out. Let's analyze them a little bit better. Even though we're dealing with a pit of snakes, you have a position. Most of us have a position, and yes, you're still and yes, you still got your hands in boxing somewhere else. Our position is to to report stuff or just pay attention to stuff, and just try to be vigilant about how we deal with the boxing itself. Because if we're not, then they're gonna they'll totally take advantage of us, and that goes for boxers too. Like I said, I always keep a little reserve for anybody. Like, I'll be in your corner, and I'll tell you I'm right behind you. But I'm 99%. I'm not gonna be like 100% and be stupid. I'm gonna be 99%. That 99, by the time we finish doing whatever we do, it can turn to 100. Then I can say I always had you back. But I always got to leave a little bit of reserve just in case. Because right now we'll have fighters that we like. You see what I mean? And those fighters, sometimes those fighters will switch up on us. And we're like, wait, what happened? And no. We can beat a dead dog until he turned into a rug in here. I don't care. And if you care, then you don't need to be in here. Because I'll just keep beating this one up because like I said, I never threw 100% behind Keith Thurman. Because I noticed that a lot of, even when he started off, it was just a lot of verbiage. And I was like, you know what, I gotta keep my eye on him. And for people who don't know, when you get bone spurs, you usually don't get bone spurs that are so severe that you need emergency operation or nothing like that. That's usually an elective surgery. And a lot of people who get bone spurs don't even get that surgery. Because I had bone spurs. I never had surgery. It's elective. And so when Keith Thurman takes himself out of the picture to go get those bone spurs removed, scraped off, then he's putting himself in harm's way because now they have went through layers of flesh and everything else. And so he's risking a lot of other things like infection, scar tissue, and all kinds of other things, which can make the pain even worse. And if he was smart, and today, the way that they have things today, what he could have done is he could have got an exemption to have cortisone or something. He could have had something put in there during his fights. Just during when he's, sparring and all that. He don't need no exemption for that if he ever needed it. But during the fight, he could have got something. Now, I don't know what they would have gave him, or they might have gave him, cortisone or something else. But he could have got that. And then he could have saved that surgery if he really needed it, because I'm looking at it like it's cosmetic or something for him. It's like, oh yeah, he's thinking that something's wrong with the arm, with the elbow because of the bone spurs, but it's really not. Because that can occur naturally, to any athlete or anybody who's active. So he took himself out and just about lost the fight before he fought Manny. And then when he came back, Manny took his whole game plan away. And the way he took it away is the body shot, and then he had parallel feet at the wrong point. And you can't have parallel feet when you're going backwards. And if you notice, Manny does that. When he jumps in and he hits you low and you start backing up, he kind of jumps in between your legs with one of his feet, and then he throws like a high punch and you go down. and you're looking all shocked like I'm hurt. And a lot of times you're not really that hurt, but you're looking like you're hurt, but you're not really that hurt from that punch, just because, man, it's just his method, and he throws he'll throw he throws these little fake, I call them fake jabs. Now sometimes he'll throw a hard one, but sometimes he'll throw like 2 little fake jabs before he jumps in or before he comes in. If you can time that second one, you can catch him. But sometimes he doesn't. He's smart. He's a smart fighter. He's a veteran. But like I said, when people do that, when you start timing them, if you're a boxer, just time it. Just don't let him, beat him to his place. Before he can get over there, before he can jump left or right or touch, try to touch jab you and jump in, then you're already moved out the way. You're at a different angle. But he don't want no real smoke anyway. We know he don't want Errol. Probably don't want Bud. He'll probably take Bud over Errol, but I doubt if he wants it. Well, you said not seem to dream. He said that Thurman went about things all wrong, in my humble opinion. No, your opinion don't have to be humble. That's your word. He went about it wrong, but I think that he actually had a game plan. I really do. I think that he had a game plan, but what I think happened is that after that, when he got knocked down, that game plan, that all those pieces were put together per round. And once he fell, those puzzle pieces came apart. And then his corner didn't know how to put those puzzle pieces back together or rearrange them to get him back into the fight. Because if you realize a knockdown, even because the fight with that was actually kind of even, you think about it. And so the knockdown, that's going to give you an extra point. Because more or less it's going to take away a point. It's not really giving you an extra point because it's 10-point must. So they must give 10 points. So if you're winning without a knockdown, you must get 10 points. So 10-point must system. And then that knockdown takes away 1 point from the loser of that round. And so that puts him at 8. And so if he wins the next round, he's only down 1 point. And then all he has to do is win the next round. Now it's a 10-round fight now. Or actually, now we're down a 9-round fight now, which is odd. So that means I need 5 or 6 of these rounds convincingly, and I'm gonna win. But you're not gonna try to go for that many rounds. You're gonna try to go for, all the rounds. But a lot of times Keith don't fight all the rounds. When you watch Keith, he's not really fighting all those rounds. He's fighting like the beginning of the fight, and then he kind of shuts it down. But you can't do that as a professional prize fighter that's on top of the game. One that you want your fans and you want media and you want the sports world, the boxing sports world, to recognize you as being in any kind of conversation like pound for pound or best fighter. If you want any of that to be a narrative for your name, then you have to come out there with that killer instinct. You got to come out there with the warriorism, and then you have to come out there with the willingness to fight. And he came out there, he had his gloves on, and he kind of warriored up, but you can't have a kind of warrior. You know what I mean? You can't be a kind of a warrior. You got to be a warrior. And now warriors, in real life, warriors don't always kill. In boxing, it's different. You got to have killer instinct. But as a warrior fighting, a lot of times you have to allow somebody to live. That gives you a bigger prize. Because I have people in my family that they let certain people live when I think about it, I didn't want those people to live, but they let them live, I'm speaking of my Cheyenne side of my family, like Two Moons and other chiefs that are in my family, that they teach you how to be a warrior, and they let you know that warriors don't always kill. But in boxing, it's different. In warriors, when you're a warrior in boxing, you have to have that killer mentality, that killer instinct. Because you never know. Because the thing is you never know what that other fighter's going to do. especially if he gets hurt or anything else. You never know what he's gonna do. So you always gotta be one like it's almost gotta be a thing where you impose your will. Like, are you done? That's that type of thing. Or are you finished? If you're not finished, I'm gonna beat you until you're finished. And yeah, it's brutal. We haven't seen very many brutal fights like that, but it's a brutal business, very brutal business. Yeah, but I got an appointment coming up, and I didn't want to overrun this. Looks like I ran about had a pretty good time today. Didn't run right extra long, but I'm usually at the 2 to the 1 to the 5. That's me when I come out here, and we have fun.